you in your respected places. I am positive that you're doing well, wherever in the world you may find yourself planted and whatever you may be doing at this very moment. I am just so excited to be back with you. It's been a little while since we've had the chance to engage in some exploration in regards to this thing called leadership. I want to welcome you to Conversations in the Nick of Time, where we focus on that very thing, this topic of leadership. There's excellence and there's accidents, and we need both of them to excel and to live out this thing that we call success. But what I have found over the years, and also due to myself, realizing that we don't always know what we're shooting for, but we have this idea that we want it to be, that we want to be successful. We want things to be productive. We want things to be in a space of excellence, but we don't always define what those expectations are and what it takes to get to that point. Well, I'm your host, Nikki Roach, and I have an amazing guest who's going to share from a global perspective. Those of you who follow me know that I am all about my St. Louis headquarters, but I am a globetrekker. I love planting my feet and my being throughout the world. And my guest, Prince Ampomah, which that really is his first name. I call him Sir Prince. I had the opportunity to meet him, and he is in fact a global leader. And trust me, we're all in for a treat to hear his perspective when it comes to global leadership and this whole idea of developing a global leadership mindset and network. Sir Prince Ampomah, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well, thank you. I'm humbled, obviously, by the introduction. I feel the burden on me as heavy as what Lincoln felt when he was going to Washington. But hopefully, we'll have a good conversation. I'm excited, obviously, excited specifically in terms of our relationship and the opportunity that what you sold into me, and that is part of building. And you talked about that, and maybe we would dive deeper into it. Is when you have an opportunity to impact people and then have that long-term relationship with them. So I'm excited. So it's an exciting day.
Yeah, so wonderful. So we had the opportunity to connect via coursework that you were taking, I believe this Covenant institution, which focuses on more things spiritual and kingdom work. And just so happened to cross the path of my parents. And my parents were so impressed with you, but also the fact that I believe my mother had a Webster bag or something like that at the time.
Yes. So we were sitting in the same classroom, obviously, in the same doctorate class with your mother and your father. And I noticed that your mom has a Webster bag, so I may have approached her and said, and then she said, yes, Nikki is my daughter. And then obviously we connected. A beautiful, beautiful soul your mom is. And obviously all the time, just the smile that she always, there was this glow and smile. When she walked in the room, she light up, just the glow and the smile that she had. So we connected really, really well. We connected really well, yes.
Wonderful. And so we end up connecting in regards to matters that you actually wanted to take or complete your coursework in regards, I believe at that time, MBA.
Yes.
And from that one conversation and introduction, it led us to what I would say a brother-sister connection, right?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. And at that time, obviously, as a struggling international student, and again, one of the things where I encourage people is wherever you have had help, you have to look back in with retrospective appreciation. And where you invited me to your office and you sat down with me, you provided access to your office when at that time you were downtown St. Louis, where I was coming to check some of the classes and open up and you were obviously in leadership there at that time, running the downtown office. at downtown campus, but still said, I'll make time for you. You created time for me and sold into me, including providing an opportunity for a scholarship for me. And to me, that is you. And that we talk about this, but it is significant. It is you investing in me. It is you identifying that, yes, this may be just raw material, but I'm still investing into it because it's going to be something someday. So I have a lot of appreciation for that interaction.
No, I mean, but it's so interesting because, as I mentioned in the introduction, how, we think we're striving towards excellence, we're striving towards success, but it's not something that only you know. Like, people should see it demonstrated that you're working towards that. And I was able to see that. And so it was not something that I considered taking up time, a waste of time or anything like that. And I think more of us, when we are fortunate and blessed to be in spaces of influence, making sure we also slow down to be able to observe what's going on around us in regards to being able to be of support, and support comes in different ways.
Yes.
But you mentioned that you were getting support as an international student, and of course we can hear the accent. I know where it's
this accent you're hearing is coming from Southern Kentucky. Yes, so most of the time when I do presentations, and a lot of the time they invite me and I said, my name is Prince Ampomah. And as you can tell, my accent is from Southern Kentucky. And all the time when I'm done with the presentation, the participants, most of them are lined up and they all have one question in mind. Are you truly from Southern Kentucky? But accent influenced by having to live in 4 continents, if you will, and starting.
4 continents.
Yes, 4. Well, 3, and then I have spent some time in Asia. So I didn't have a physical address in Asia, but I worked in India. But 3 continents, you can count Africa, Europe, and America.
Wow.
Absolutely. But yes, I have lived, schooled, worked in 4 different continents. So I do approach everything I do, my interactions, my work, with a certain global perspective. And I believe that there is value in that global perspective that I bring to my interactions, to the work that I do as well on a daily basis. Obviously, because I have seen several different parts of the world that most people in the United States won't have opportunity to see or haven't yet seen it, and different perspectives and exposure to different cultures and exposure to different challenges of life that you wouldn't see here in the United States.
Yeah, you mentioned opportunities, and I know one thing that has been very consistent in conversations, especially in higher ed, in the space of higher ed, and I'm sure for you too. You've been on the financial side of industry, you've been in the medical industry, you've served in other capacities in leadership, they're emerging or actual.
Yeah.
Now you're moving into the space of legacy because you've got the experience. But you have all of this. And one thing that comes up is that individuals who are international or immigrants who come into, especially the States, the United States, come with a different level of grit, a different level of urgency when it comes to getting things done and also rising to the occasion. What do you say about that? Because that is a very frequent.
That's a fabulous question. Absolutely fabulous question. And you may hear variations of answers from different immigrants, or we could say imports. But I'll tell you 2 things. Number one is, when we come here, there isn't any sense of entitlement. we
Oh,
come, yes, there isn't any sense of entitlement. We come here and it is a blank page for us. It is a completely blank page for us. And I subscribe to the theory that life is a blank page. You write your own story. So it's a blank page for us, number one. Number two, immigrants, we live almost like one life, but two expectations. There is expectations here in the United States as I'm living my life. As my life is unfolding, there is also at the same time, there's an expectation in Ghana. And even though I don't live there, but home is Ghana, but I've made home here, there is still a certain unspoken expectation. And so you carry this level of expectation, both as you try to integrate into the culture here, and also be mindful of what is happening. Now, there's a Greek word that I really like in my undergraduate school, and it says cum mortum datum est, which means to whom much is given, much is expected. A lot of the time when you meet immigrants, some of them, a whole village came together to contribute to his tickets, to contribute to his scholarship, to contribute to all the things that he was able to bring here. When you meet people, so when you meet some of these people who have been able to make it here, they are at the top of the class, and their family had to eventually, if you will, let go of their entire wealth just to sponsor them to this side. So you can see the burden and the expectation they carry when you come here. So there isn't any excuse than to continue to make the right choices that gets you to a good place. Because you have an expectation here in the United States, but you also have an expectation. Imagine the whole village sponsoring you to come to the United States. Everybody has expectations from you. Wow. Yes, so that is part of it. And so it builds a certain level of resilience in you. It builds a certain level of grit in you when you are pursuing your goals. And that I would say for me, and even my sister and my twin brother and all my family, that is how we approach it. There is a certain level of expectation from us, a certain level of investment. Sometimes it's just pure emotional investment. There is also the fact that to whom much is given, when you're given the opportunity to be here, to set yourself as an example, as a shining light, even for those who are unable to come here, that they can see and be able to model good character after, so that they can see that life is possible and dreams are possible.
So that was a mouthful, and there's so much to dissect in there. But one thing being, you mentioned sometimes there's a contribution,
yes,
not just from your family, but from your village, from your community.
Yes, that's right.
That gave me goosebumps. And why? Because that's what it's about. Because even as you are sent off to have better, it's not just about you getting better, it's about the whole getting better. And so that could be very heavy for an individual to carry and to be sent out into the world. But it sounds like what I'm hearing and how it's landing for me is that this is an honor.
Mm-hmm. Yes. In some cases it is indeed. And I love the way you put it, that you carry the burden with you, so you carry the whole burden of a village, you carry the whole burden of a community as you try to navigate life in a foreign soil. In some cases, you come and there's an established family member. In some cases, you come and there's an established friend. In some cases, you come and there's absolutely nobody. And it is just you. And so every single choice you make is critical. And the choice you make, you talked about opportunities earlier on when we were talking, it is the choice you make that is what is going to create opportunity for you in the future. And every choice you make is so critical, because if you make the wrong choice, a whole village is upon your shoulder, or a whole community is upon your shoulder. So that is what stirs up inside of us when we get the opportunity to come here.
Now, I know, like, wow, I'm trying to digest all of that, but keep us moving forward, because there's so many lessons for all of us in regards to that. And like, not only are we carrying the weight of our village, the weight of our community, the weight of our people, but with this whole thing that there's been contributions that have been made by many to even send off
Yes.
this, an individual to a place that they don't know. It's the same for us, but we've kind of detached from the contributions our ancestors have provided, our parents, the sacrifice to send us off into the world. But you mentioned something. There's that missing space of entitlement. That's privilege that we have. And some have a greater, higher dose of it than others. When we talk about the United States, and that's being real.
And I'll tell you, just add to what you're saying, the line that you're going. Funny story. I was talking to my younger brother, and when I got this new job, I told him, anything they give me, I accept it. And he said, yes, because for us, when we are negotiating from zero to whatever the amount is. So even when you come to the United States and you get your first job, it is from your reference point in terms of negotiation, your reference point in terms of salary is zero, and then you're getting something. So you work as hard, regardless of what you're given, you work hard because you want to get to the next level. Versus in some cases, when you are already here, and maybe you've had working class parents, so you understand the dynamics of the culture. So relatively, your reference point when you're negotiating is not zero. Versus for us, our reference point is zero. And so everything you give, the little you give me, I'll make the best out of it and continue to work my way. So that's part of it. That's part of the story.
And the way you just articulated that totally opens a whole new space in regards to, back again, that sense of urgency, that grit, that by any means necessary, and what you offer, I'm gonna make the best of it, is what you're. And for us, it's kind of like, that's not really. Yeah, we're being, we're actually being so picky when it's like because sometimes we will accept an opportunity thinking that's it, and it's not it. This is, as I say, I am passing through. I'm here for a season. God, what is it I'm supposed to contribute during this season? And then let me be sensitive to hear and know what that is. Absolutely. You talked about being you're a sibling. I know there's a unique story to you being a twin, because it was later in our relationship that I learned that you were a twin. But not only that, but then tell us about you being a twin, and then.
So I always tell people I come unplanned, uncaused, unannounced, as a surprise, and the reason is that my mother went to the hospital to have my brother, and as soon as she delivered my brother, the noise in the labor ward, everything was going on, and then they paused and they said, "Wait, woman, you have another baby in your womb, so take 20 minutes to push again." And that was me tucked inside, very quietly waiting for my time to arrive, to make my entrance. And so, yes, I have a twin brother. We're very, very close. And part of it, and we will probably dive into it, is though I'm a twin, and we wear the same clothing. Parents try to put the same clothing on twins and all of that. But our lives and our stories have gone in several different paths. Mm-hmm. At some point, if you're a twin and you're not careful, you would want to live in the shadow of your twin brother. My twin brother is top of class when it comes to academia in the whole of Ghana.
Oh, wow.
Electrical engineer. investment banker, now a lawyer, absolutely top of class when it comes to intellect. If you rank the Ghanaian student, he's top up there. And obviously, we were obviously very close, but always ahead. But I realized I need to embrace my own story, and because that is the promise I have to be able to make impact in the society. And so when the opportunity came for us to learn piano, I poured my heart into it. I just poured my heart into it. I learned the piano, day and night. I literally, Nikki, I said, how determined I was I literally tied my piano to my bed in a way that when I wake up and I turn this way, my fingers just hit the keys and I'm just practicing. and that was the determination that I wanted something to level up with in a way that draws out the authenticity in me and the uniqueness in me to be able to provide. And that has been really phenomenal. So yeah, I have a twin brother doing really well, and my other siblings, who I have another set of twins, my younger brothers, a PhD in civil engineering and a data governance and data quality expert for Edward Jones, and a big sister who is the shining light for us, doing amazing things. We all subscribe to the same thing. Life is a blank page, you write your own story. We have the same resilience. We lost our father when we were all very young. So I think collectively it has built a certain level of mental strength in us. Okay. That's one of the other things. We, as immigrants, when you talk to immigrants, they'll tell you, sometimes if only native people could understand the challenges that immigrants go through. But yes, still the mental strength that we build when we go through all of this, it is what helps us to be able to succeed in a lot of situations.
And then this is interesting because you not only have shared, there was this season of you establishing yourself, your footing, finding your voice, finding your own light outside of a twin, outside of other siblings who are all rock stars. But then you come to, I want to now shift this to, you come to the United States. And with all this drive, all this grit, having lived out these things, and you come to the United States, and what barriers? Because you're looking through the natural eye, and you walk in the room, we're like, here's a Black man showing up in a leadership space, you're in the room. What barriers or challenges do you have? Because you have the credentials. I didn't want to go through all that because I know how humble you're such a humble person. And so I didn't want to go through all the credentials. People can look that up. But knowing you bring that weight with you wherever you show up, have you, or do you face any barriers?
It's a brilliant question. It's a question that percolates through my mind all the time. When you come here as an immigrant, think of it this way. As young adults, your parents say goodbye to you. They put you on a flight to London because they believe that you can get a lot more opportunities. And so you go there and you make your own decisions and you make your own choices. And then
wait. So they're just packing you up, putting you on a flight.
They pack you up, you go to London, to pursue education, to pursue further education, and to pursue a better life for yourself. With your suitcase, you just go and hope that the Lord above creates room of opportunity for you. And then once you do that, you approach yourself from London, and then you all the way to St. Louis, empty-handed again, to come and do the same thing, to pursue. And so you come in, and in this culture, three winds blow against you. The first one is you're an immigrant. It's the wind that blows against you. Number two is you have an accent. It is another wind that is blowing against you. The third is you're a Black man. So it's the three winds that blows against you when you come here. How do you navigate all three of them and still be able to break through and be significant? I'm mindful to use the word successful, but be significant in the society. How do you converge the wind that is blowing against you to blow in the direction you're going so you can sail on the wind? You see what I mean? The wind is blowing against you in these three areas, but you have to somehow convert that wind into a wind that is blowing in the direction you're going so you can sail on that. And so every day you wake up, you think through that. But we don't allow these three things to cripple us at all. We never view any opportunity through that lens. It is something that is buried in our subconscious, but it is never a lens through which we analyze opportunity. We subscribe again to the belief that if it has been done, then it is possible. My father told us this is what he always said. He said, Prince, if it has been done, then it means that it is possible. And if it is possible, it means that it is humanly possible. If it is humanly possible, it means you can also do it. That is the most basic form that the five of us as kids, we live by. If it's been done, it means that it is possible. If it is possible, it means it is humanly possible. And if it is humanly possible, it means you can also do it.
And there is no excuse after that, right?
Yes, absolutely.
The only thing you can say after that is, okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Wow. So, and I love this concept, this and also imagery in regards to this wind that's blowing against you. But you say, how is it that you shift? I'm going to say shift to make sure that the wind is behind you, pushing you.
That's it. Yeah.
In the proper direction. And sometimes it doesn't. How is it, would you say, that you have maintained your authenticity and your footing when it doesn't?
Yeah, that's a brilliant point. When you come here, you straddle between two thoughts, whether to abandon who you are completely and embrace whatever America gives you, integrate well into the society, yes, you have to, or you embrace your authenticity and your story. You either abandon your story and you try to live a copy of somebody else, or you abandon your story and try to live, or you say, I want to embrace who I am, my immigrant status, my accent, and being this person. I just want to embrace everything that has contributed to me being who I am, that's contributed to you being who you are in terms of Nico, and draw out that authenticity in you all the time. And that is why I always make the comments, because I'm self-deprecating in many ways. So, I make the comment, I said, before you tease my accent, I'm already teasing myself. I'm already making fun of my accent, okay? But then as soon as I'm done, you can see that there's so many layers of me. And those layers of me, those layers of these people that you meet, you have to explore. One of my colleagues, when we started talking, we sat down and said, there's so many layers to you. And I said, yes, and that's important, but you draw it out in everything that you do. And I think that is and you're intentional about doing that. So the key point here, and I've gone in several different directions, but to answer your question specifically, embrace who you are, embrace your story. Do not be cowed into abandoning your story. Do not be cowed into living somebody else's story. The uniqueness of your story allows you to provide value to this world, and you have to embrace it. And that is what we do, and that is what draws, I believe, authenticity draws out authenticity in others.
Yeah. You mentioned being, having been a resident and live, work, play in 4 different continents. That's a lot to digest from individuals, especially from us who've lived in one spot, and some of us have not ever left our birthplace. So can you imagine like you sharing that information and we're like, look, I'm still in the town I was born in. Matter of fact, I'm still in my parents' house.
But Nikki, here is to your credit. You have physically lived in the same place, but mentally and in terms of your exposure and intellectually, you have been around the world.
Well said. And leads me right into the next space, which is like, how is it, or what recommendations do you have or strategies you've used to stay connected to build this global network? Because it used to be like, oh, it's all in who you know, but no, it's not just who you know, but who knows you. So when we talk about developing this global presence, a global, being a global leader, being authentic, not abandoning your story, all that comes with also touching people from across borders and boundaries and state lines and country lines. What has worked for you?
What has worked for me is everyone I meet, I bring out the authenticity in me with the goal of bringing the authenticity in them. I want everybody that I meet, when they leave my place, they said, this guy made me feel like I can be myself, number one. And that is critical. When you walk away from Prince, we've had a conversation, you walk away saying, this guy made me feel like my story is relevant, my story counts, my story is important. Go ahead.
And what is the strategy that makes them lean in like that?
Because I share my story with you.
Okay.
And I embolden you to share your story with me. Example, when I meet people, the first thing they say, what's your name? My name is Nikki. Oh, great name. Or my name is Ajibola. I say, that's great name. What does it mean? I key into your story. And then they'll say, oh, well, my parents, let me tell you the story, okay? And so typically, when I start the conversation, I say, what is your story, Nikki? What is your story? I usually, it's you and I share, obviously I have a common friend, mentor, Dr. Kande, who he was the one who taught me this. I walked into his office in business school at the time, many years ago. And then he said, Prince, what's your story? At the time I didn't even understand, but more and more as we had an interaction, it became clear that he is focused on understanding people's stories. And I've taken that from him a lot. So typically my first opening is, what's your story? Tell me your story. Let me tell you a quick story here, which led to me developing my book. I was playing piano in Indiana Art Council, playing piano there. I had an office there. And so I come downstairs on the first floor and I always play piano. And during my lunchtime. And one time when I played, I usually gather a small crowd around me. One time when I played, a lady by the name of Sandra, she just approached me and said, wow, thank you for playing for us. I said, oh, thank you, welcome. And she said, oh, I'm new to the Art Council. I just came from Pennsylvania. I said, okay, let's pause there. Tell me your story. What's your story? And then she said, oh, I don't know. What do you want to know? I said, just tell me your story. So she told me her story. And then she said, she very quickly before her story ended, threw the question back to me. So Prince, what's your story? I told her my story very briefly. And she paused and she said, your story is more superior than my story. I said, no. Don't say that. Our stories are unique, but never superior. No story is superior above any story. Our stories are unique. Our turns have been different. Our choices have been different. But the uniqueness of who you are allows you to provide value. The uniqueness of who I am allows me to provide value. So I went up to my office and I penned down an article. And I titled 7 billion artwork, because I believe every story is an artwork. It's a beautiful artwork. And so that is the strategy I use all the time. Draw out the authenticity in the person so that when they leave you, because sometimes there are some people, when you talk to them and you leave, you feel inadequate.
Yeah.
You feel inadequate. And I never want to get to that point.
Mhm.
I always want, when people leave my presence, they say, you know, this guy drew. And so sometimes I never say a word when I interact. 90% of the time, it is the person talking, and I'm drawing out that authenticity in them. They're sharing with me. 10 minutes into, they'll say, oh, but you know, tell me, I want to know about you. And as soon as I start talking, they say, oh, okay. But draw out authenticity in people.
I love that. And so you are in your field of work traveling. You're in a plane quite often. You are engaging individuals across
Mhm.
different countries.
Mhm.
You are talking to individuals from different, when we talk about diversity, it is a full spectrum of
Yes.
diversity. And does this same model work regardless who you're engaging?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody has a story, regardless of your color, regardless of your race, your background, your religion, the geography in which you were born. You still have an authentic story. And so I want to draw the story out, regardless of whether you're from India, you're from Africa, you're from Canada, here in the US. I still want to draw the story. Every single one of us. When you think about us, it's 8 billion beautiful stories, and you just have to, if you draw out the, and that's how I approach leadership as well. Is
Mhm.
there's this pension, this insatiable desire to draw the best out of people. Just draw the best in you. So a lot of the time, my conversation tilts towards encouragement, motivation, because I want to draw the best. Because I believe that there's so much deposit in all of us. And when I meet you, you draw the best out of me by giving me this opportunity to have this interaction. You're drawing the best out of me. And so it's the same that when I have an opportunity, I'm drawing the best out of people, whether it's on a soccer field, on a golf field, or when just drawing the best out of people and bringing the authenticity out of them.
Wonderful. What would you say has been something you've experienced and it was a learning lesson? It was an accident when it comes to leadership and your approach to it, and you learned from it. What would that share one idea with us?
Mm. Elaborate on the question. Elaborate on the question a little bit.
So it was, so say for instance, one of my leadership accidents in the past has been um, filling in the blanks and assuming that just because we're all leaders in the room and at the table, that some of my thoughts or my input was very trivial or not as impactful to getting us to the desired outcomes that we were working towards. But I had to, and part of that was my fear of speaking up. So it was a mixture of things, and it was an accident on my end because I held back who I was, who my story was, which added to my influence and impact in those situations. Over and over, I started doing it and I noticed it myself. But then those side conversations with different individuals, they're like, oh my God, great point. We didn't think about that. But I assumed that it was small. I had to learn, speak up, use your voice, engage. It doesn't matter how simple or small it is. And it was an accident because I've missed out on some stuff. And I know I have. And then also my contributions caused us as past teams, even current teams, because I still have to work to get myself to use your voice with the whole, not just on the side conversation.
I'll tell you one thing I've learned is there are times where I have gone in and in the attempt to draw out authenticity in people, I have appeared as if I know it all,
Okay.
and I have because of that I have uh, I didn't approach it with appreciative inquiry. I appreciated it. I approached the conversation as okay, I know, and that is important. It's something that I have learned and I continue to practice, which is seek first to understand them to be understood. So sometimes when in the attempt to drawing the authenticity out of people, I get little information and then I want to run with it with my own assumptions. And that a few times have come back in a very negative way. And so I have been practicing appreciative inquiry. Just seek to understand and continue to draw, just using great questions, no assumptions, just draw the best that you can. So I've learned a lot from that in my travels, because yes, not everybody is willing to share. And even the approach to drawing the authenticity out of people, some people will say, hey, no, wait, I don't want to share this with you. And so you are mindful in terms of how you approach that. But yes, that's one of the things that I've done. And that's one of the lessons is, if I'm leaving your listeners with anything, is appreciating inquiry and seeking to understand and to be understood. I don't want to just run and share my story. I just draw the best out of you. I want to hear your story. Even if you never get to know my story, when you walk away knowing that my story is enough, my story counts towards the world, that's enough.
Thank you for being transparent in that moment, because a lot of times we do focus on the things that we can rock out, that we're stars at, that we have mastered in a sense. And while that is good, you can't get there without the accidents and without learning. There's some things that and then to paint a picture that this is the reality, like regardless where you see someone, there's still, and I just label it accidents, but accidents just meaning that these are things that, cause us to kind of have a little fender bender every now and then, but then we get out and we repair.
Yeah.
And that repair comes through first acknowledging, and then two, going back to find a remedy and a strategy to begin that repair process. And that's the reality. And you can't, it's no different than when you start a new project, and why some of us get so locked into what I call shallow successes or past successes, because we know what works for that, but it's hard to move forward into new spaces or deeper waters. Why? Because now we're taking a risk that's unknown. But if you're going to do that, expect some accidents, expect that's the only way you're going to make it better.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah. And making it better, we talk about this whole idea and concept of success. And I am just fascinated with this word because we have made it somewhat dirty. And I say dirty because of how we're attempting to get there, but no one knows where there is. Because we've come up with this idea in regards to like, here's what this is, but that may be very, very tricky in regards to how one person can interpret it, but another person not. What does success mean to you?
It's a brilliant question. Success, the construct of success for me means that it is really, success to me is the byproduct of doing something meaningful that has a greater impact on humanity. That to me is success, really. But lately, I have been thinking through success, but moving it beyond success to significance. Okay, because you can be successful in wrong things. You can have a goal and be successful in the wrong thing. But significance is where you are making specific impact in society, specific impact in individual. That the collective, the collection of your activities have a positive impact on humanity. Because there is success where your activities did not impact humanity positively. Significance, when you get there, is where the summation of your activities has a positive, net positive impact on humanity. I'll give you a quick example. And then part of what I do, I'm passionate about impacting society is we have a small band. So we go to nursing homes here in the Houston area, and we play for them just to uplift their spirit, just to impact them. One time when we went to play, a young lady walked towards us with a note in her hand and crying, and then we signaled that put the note in our bass guitar's pocket because we're still playing. When we finished, we read the note. It said, "This is the first time my mother has spoken to me and has said, 'I love you,' and has squeezed my hand in a whole year." And mom had dementia. And that to me is significant, an ability to impact people, impact society. So success, yes, is the byproduct of the things that we do in pursuit of a mission, but beyond that, it is seeking to be significant and making a small dent in the universe.
Wow. You have the platform to communicate one message to this listening audience, which is a global presence. When it comes to leadership and sustaining this level of significance that you speak of, what one piece of advice would you give?
Embrace your story. Embrace who you are. Seek to draw out authenticity in others, but embrace who you are because it holds the key to your own success. It holds the key to your own significance. That's what I'll say.
Wow. Sir, Prince Ampomah, we are so appreciative for you taking time to share with us just a part of your journey. And I do mean just a part that we were able to tap into, but I am appreciative for you being so transparent as always and giving us some insight in regards to your journey. I look forward to keeping up with you, celebrating your move to Texas, but also this puts you in a whole different global region. So congratulations on that. I know more information is to come on this new opportunity. And we are here in a platform for you to share as you make progress in the various areas of life. So do not be a stranger.
Thank you. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I look forward to be back at some point. Thank you.
Okay. Take care and be well.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you.
We want to thank all of you for listening. It has been so informative and such a joy to be able to get such great information out of our guest. Prince Ampomah, born and raised in Ghana, sent off to London, then to the United States. He's lived in several different states within the United States, now has recently landed in Texas, and is absolutely a joy every time I get to talk to him. And he reminded us of some key things, some key instructions when we talk about developing a global leadership mindset and network. Being true to your story, just be true to who you are. We say that and it's almost as if it's a broken record because we talk about this authenticity, not being a carbon copy, but it really is a struggle once you get out here and you're influenced by so much and distracted also by so much, considering we have so many things coming at us. There's so much research around the messaging that's being bombarded, humans are being bombarded with on a daily basis, even within minutes. There's research to support that. And what's so interesting is that we are all get sucked into that. And it takes some solid discipline for us to understand the strength that we need to be able to, as Prince mentioned earlier, those are the winds that are coming against us as we're trying to go one way, but these winds and these currents are coming towards us to cause us to shift and drift down paths we weren't necessarily prepared to do. But knowing these tools and knowing the strategies and knowing that they're going to come, they being those winds, we can prepare, we can better prepare. And part of that preparation is having those different strategies, having a great, strong network, having opportunities such as this, even to have that dialogue or to hear different points of view and different perspectives. Just so grateful for that insight that he shared. I want you to go and make sure that you are not just connecting and doing the things that are safe, but connecting outside of your normal network. I'm not going to say it has to be global in a sense. But as again, as our guest Prince mentioned, it is not always being physically in a space, but also mentally exposed and mentally in those different places. You've got it. You've got the tools. We've got these new tools. We have these new tools to have a different perspective and point of view to understand that we've got a blank page. Prince shared one of his greatest quotes that has impacted him most: a career and life is a blank page. You write your own story. It's not too late. You're not too old. You're not smart enough, because guess what? You have a story and somebody needs to hear it. We all need to hear it. So find ways to get that out there, whether that's through action, whether that's through a product or service, a company, whether that's just through sitting next to someone and asking, what is your story? Here is my story. There are so many ways to do it. So go, I challenge you. I challenge you to get it done. And don't delay. Don't delay. We get caught up in wanting, well, I can't say we, I have been paralyzed by the pursuit of perfection. No such thing. And that's one of the accidents I'm learning. And that wasn't a fender bender, that was a crash. I had to really learn nothing's going to be perfect. And by the time you get something completed, there will be more. So you can't feel that I have to wait until I get everything together. No, get started. And if you don't know where to start, find someone to help you along the way to begin to shape and articulate your story, because you already have it. It's just a matter of getting it out there in some shape, form, or fashion. So I want to thank you. Thank you so much for giving us your ear, your heart, your hands. Now have something to go and be productive and create with. I want to thank you for listening and tuning into another conversation in the nick of time. Our guest, Prince Ampomah. So grateful for him and his wisdom that he shared from a different point of view today, and very, very grateful for that. Now I want you to go and live out success as you define it, because you've already got everything you need. It's just a matter of tapping into it. And as we learned today, tap into it and tell your story. Until next time, I'm your host, Nikki Roach. Make sure you visit us at nikkiroach.com, and that's NICCIROACH.com. Click on Be a Guest. Who knows, you may just be next in line.